gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, as well as streaming video live every single weekday.
Big shout out to our boy Sal.
Absolutely.
He is one of my favorite fighters that has come on the show.
I mean,
that guy's mentality, I
can't say we've had a single 5'9" guy that hasn't been fun to talk to, at least. And
I'm playing favorites in because
I know, but don't get me wrong. Sal is definitely. There's a reason he's the first one to come back twice.
That's why he's the bull.
Absolutely, and we're gonna have a lot of these other guys coming back in as well. You will see Jesus Navarrete back in here eventually, I'm sure, as well as a couple of the champions that will rejoin us, as well as some faces you haven't seen yet, because there are plenty of fighters in 5'9" that you need to go check out. And if they're already getting nods from ESPN Plus on the app, I'm telling you right now, there's some of those names you might see at the UFC level.
They're on their way up.
They're on their way. It is what it is. But we got to help you guys with your fantasy football teams because it is a rough week 5 now that it is time for the bye weeks to start. We have, I believe, 5 teams on a bye this week. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the Packers, the Falcons. Oh, Lord, I'm drawing a blank on the other 2.
The one that hit me was the Packers, but
right,
and the Falcons, my damn running back. But
unfortunately,
I'm glad I got both of my starting running backs out this week. Get it over with.
Yes.
I got Jacobs. I've got Bijan. I've got them. I'm hurting at receiver now, though, because now with Tyreek out and Neighbors out, I'm like, okay, it's time to switch it up. So waiver wire Wednesday. We'll start at the quarterback position, and 100%. I'll just throw out mine. I'm rolling with Jackson Dart.
God, get out of my head, kid.
And I'm just saying because not only did the kid look good, but he's playing the Saints this week. In a dome, I like the attitude the kid has, and yes, I know Neighbors is out, but I think with several different receivers, I think he'll find his groove, and if it's just for a week, it can't hurt.
I'm telling you right now, if you were smart like I and picked up Wan'Dale Robinson from the Giants, who was a fantasy stud last year and a fantasy stud through the first couple weeks of the season, you're going to be a happy person here with the New York Giants. I also took Jackson Dart. Right now with the quarterback position, it is pretty bare. I know a lot of you are probably looking at maybe Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith in that waiver wire. Tua, it's hard to pick any of those guys just because of how bad they've played in the first quarter of the season. I agree with Sparky, although statistically Jackson didn't do a whole ton to be flashy in game 1. He still got the job done, scored a solid amount of points, and the Saints give up 28th in the NFL. They are 28th in fantasy football right now in points given to quarterbacks. That's a great sign for the rookie quarterback. And like I said with our guy with our guy Renegade Rob, I apologize. This is essentially a homecoming game for Jackson Dart. If you don't think that the fan base of Ole Miss is going to be coming down there to support their guy, you are crazy. This is going to be a great showing for Jackson and probably the second win of his NFL career.
At running back, it is touchy. There's not
a lot.
That is bare.
There's not a lot.
One name that stuck out for me was Woody Marks in Houston. I know we're all waiting to see, the Chubb of pass, which isn't there.
I don't think it is.
And I'm not sure if, the Woody Marks blowing up last week in week 4 with 119 yards and 2 scores will roll over to this week. But if you're hurting like I am at running back, especially with the bye weeks, I think Woody Marks might be worth the flyer.
Once again, get out of my head. I have Woody as well. I mean, at this point, I agree with you. I don't think the Nick Chubb thing is working in Houston. I picked up Nick late in our drafts just because I knew Joe Mixon was out, thinking maybe he'd be getting those touches. It has not been the Nick Chubb we remember from Cleveland, but to be fair, it really wasn't the Nick Chubb that we remember in Cleveland at the end of his time with Cleveland. So at this point, it is really up in the air. And just like the Saints, the Ravens defense, as good as they look on paper, give up last. They are last in fantasy football, 32nd right now in points given up to running backs. Woody Marks might be that guy to at least get you through this bye week if you do need somebody. So I'm going with Woody as well.
And wide receiver, you already said it. Wan'Dale Robinson is the name I picked. With Malik Neighbors out, he's going to get his targets. And I believe I saw him available in 5 of the 7 leagues I'm in.
Roughly,
so
yeah.
this
is a guy that really doesn't get a lot of looks, and I don't know why. He gets plenty of balls thrown to him. He catches each and every one. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a young Harry Douglas with Atlanta, when he was overlooked because obviously you had Julio, Roddy White, Calvin Ridley, all these other guys that were bigger than him. Harry Douglas was always a consistent threat, caught every ball that went to him, and was that guy when they needed him to be. I think Wan'Dale's in the same boat.
I think he's good for 10, 15 points.
Every week, every single week. And this is the first one, though, that we do differ. I did not take Wan'Dale because, personally, if you haven't picked up Wan'Dale Robinson in your leagues yet, you're crazy. I don't know what you're waiting on. Personally, my choice, Marvin Mims from Denver. Here's the thing. And this only works for those of you who are in PPR leagues, because if you're not in a PPR league, shut this off. You don't get points for return yards. Marvin Mims not only is Bo Nick's favorite deep threat deep threat for his deep balls, but he is also the return man for Denver. Even when he only had 1 catch in a game, he scored 8 points. This guy will get you the points you need if you need someone to fill in at the flex spot. It won't be flashy. It won't be great, I'm sure. But 10% rostered in every NFL fantasy football league right now. They're going against the Eagles, who are not going to be worried about Mims. They're going to be focused on Sutton and a lot of these other pieces that they have, J.K. Dobbins. So I think Marvin Mims is perfectly primed to have a great day in the return game and a great day at wide receiver for the Denver Broncos.
And I will sprinkle in a little hidden one that might be worthy depending on if you're in a 10 or a 12-man league. Mm-hmm. But I will say Malik Washington of Miami with Tyreek out. I talked to you about it in the on the offseason. This kid, not only if you're in a PPR league, because he is the punt returner, the kick returner, he's already ran back a touchdown this year. I will say he's going to step up at that wide receiver 2 offside, opposite of Waddle. And I will also say that they picked up Cedric Wilson yesterday after putting Tyreek on the pup and cutting Cam Smith. There is going to be somebody that has to catch the ball over there, and I'll go into the tight end because I'm 50-50 on the tight end position. One, we've said this guy's name several times. Strange in Jacksonville. He gets his looks.
He did last week.
Obviously, we don't like Trevor Lawrence or Trevor Lawrence. I'm not sold on Trevor Lawrence. I've already had to cut him this league. But I will say the other one that is available in a lot of leagues is Darren Waller. Yes, he only played 3 quarters last week. Yes, he only had 2 catches. But yes, they were both 2 touchdowns. And I've been telling you since the offseason, Tua loves his tight ends. He made Jonnu Smith his career year last year. He did the same thing with Gesicki over in Cincy, who has just fell off the planet.
Has not been the same tight end since leaving Miami.
But I will say Darren Waller will get his looks, and if you're looking for a deep tight end, I've seen in almost every league, Darren Waller is the top tight end to pick up. But I will say they're in Carolina this week. Carolina's going to play them tough, whether it's Miami doing Miami things, playing up or down to teams they play. I would expect Waller to get 5 to 6 looks at least.
This is how you know me and him have worked way too long together, because synergy, baby. I got Darren Waller as well. 27th in fantasy points given up by the Carolina defense to tight ends. Darren Waller had a great showing out in his first week, 2 touchdowns, as Sparky just mentioned. And to be honest with you, I expect that ball to be fed to him every single time he's on the field, no matter how little that is. He still is trying to get back into football shape, but once he does, you're looking at one of the best tight ends in football. He was when he was with the Raiders, and he will continue to be, I feel, with this offense in the McDaniels situation, because like we said yesterday, it's not just Tua. Mike McDaniels has never had a team where he hasn't had a tight end that's worth a damn. So at this point, he's going to make Darren Waller that tight end. I think there's a reason that they pulled him out of retirement. They knew that he still had it in him. I think he knows he still has it in him. And I think this week against Carolina, you're going to see the Darren Waller of old, and we're going to see potentially a 100-yard game from him. I think it's going to be that kind of a day, especially with Tyreek Hill out. Waddle, you would like to say, can step up into that number 1 spot, but Tua needs somebody with consistency. And who better than your big tight end that used to play wide receiver that somehow every time he's on the field can get open, find that hidden spot, and just sit in it and be perfectly fine. So those are your picks for us for the week in terms of waiver wire. Again, sorry we don't have a defense or special teams for you, but there are not a whole ton in the waiver wire. If you weren't able to pick up a top 25 defense, it really is a matchup by matchup thing. So if you find anybody, like if for some reason you're in a league where the Giants defense is still out there going against the Saints, highly recommend you pick them up. It is really kind of a matchup by matchup thing this year when it comes to the special teams. So that is all we got for you guys this week in terms of our waiver wire Wednesday. Let's take a break real quick. On the other side, we'll talk about a handful of these injuries that are going around the league, including Tyreek Hill and Brock Purdy, because there's a lot of question marks from the San Francisco camp of should they even play him until he's 100%. We'll let you know our thoughts on the other side of the break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield.